Hello, I'm John Pitts, and I seem to have written quite a lot of popular recorder music. This all happened by mistake more than 30 years ago, when I was involved in training primary teachers, but had a lot of criticisms of the material that was then available. And the trainee teachers and the teachers were saying, well, if we can't use that, what are we going to use? And so eventually I sat down and wrote a scheme. As I'm not much of a recorder player at that time, not steeped in tradition, I couldn't see why you kept your right hand in reserve for so long, and for children often they didn't use their right hand to play notes until at the end of the first year. And so quite arbitrarily I changed the order of teaching notes, and after B-A-G, left hand, I brought the right hand on, bottom E, bottom D, instead of the traditional order of B-A-G and then C, top D. I found that going that way meant that the children often developed bad hand positions with the right hand, didn't support the recorder. They overblew on the top notes, which they didn't do if they went downwards, my recommendation. And also you could write a better repertoire of tunes with that other range of instruments, of notes. And it also linked up to the use of pitch percussion, ostinatos and the pentatonic scale, which is obviously popular in school. I do find that some teachers feel that they have to keep trudging through the 3 books. And there is, of course, a lot of consolidation material at every level. But I do like to encourage people to step sideways and play things in different styles and so on. So, for example, when you've reached the end of book 1, or just the beginning of book 2, you can actually, you can ask them, well, you can play London's Burning, but did you realise that you can play something from The Lion King? Can you feel the love tonight? You only need to play the same notes as London's Burning, and then incentive, learn one more note, F sharp, and then you can play things from The Lion King. Or you can play On My Own from Les Miserables, which means that pieces that the parents will know, that they know. You've got a nice CD accompaniment, so you don't have to have an incredibly flash pianist to do it. And it's a nice change from just playing in the books. Or if you want to contribute to assembly, perhaps a week on Friday they're having assembly based on India. And so you look in one of my other books, Music Around the World, and you look in the index, music from 40 countries, and you'll find a nice little Indian folk song with some suggested ostinatos on little drums and things, so that the recorders can contribute to an assembly on India. So that, again, all my books are very carefully graded, so in the index you can see which notes you require, and so that you can step sideways. Again, you could step into blues, rags and boogies, and again, carefully graded so that it's some quite different repertoire from what you might normally think of beginner recorders playing. And nothing like an incentive and feeling that you can play lots of other material. Treble recorder is sometimes not used as much as it should be in schools. Many children, once they're mastered the descant, can go on to treble recorder. And once you start using treble, it really enhances the descants, because the sound of the descants and treble together is often a much mellower and more pleasant sound than just descants on their own. I have got a book of descant and treble duets. I also have a book of descant treble tenor, and I find that children quite quickly will enjoy playing the treble. I revised the treble book recently, completely revised it, even changed the order of teaching some of the notes. And there are now two CDs with it, so it really is quite a package, and I do recommend you to give that a try. Don't be put off by your anxieties about the fingering. I've carefully structured it, as in other books, so that you will quickly master and enjoy playing the treble. I do write more advanced things. I mean, book 3 goes right the way to the very top notes, and there are things from there in the Associated Board syllabus and in other exam, and I've written specially for the Associated Board. There are things in other exam syllabuses around the world. I've got a book of quartets, descant, treble, tenor, bass, very varied, from Lloyd Webber to my own compositions such as Palmerita Rumba. And I was delighted recently in Taiwan to find that the Palmerita Rumba, the quartet version, had been set as an exam piece for the whole of the Taiwan music competition, which was quite a thrill. And then so that the quartet book is much used, and I do recommend following my sort of normal attempt to provide interest for everybody. If I'm writing for more than one instrument, I always split the tune and the interest between the parts, so that, for example, in the quartets, each instrument, in every piece, each of the instruments, descant, treble, tenor and bass, has the tune at some time. And some of these bass players who are used to just playing bum, 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 have quite had to practice a bit, because they find that they suddenly have the main tune, which is quite a thrill for them. And so I do try to make it interesting for everybody. In addition to the tutor books, I also have responded to commissions particularly from local authorities or from festivals. And I've done particular pieces, either solos or trios, quartets. For example, for Stoke-on-Trent, where at the festival there was about 150 children playing two of my pieces. Leeds Town Hall, it's quite a thrill to be sitting there and seeing a very large number of children playing pieces you've specially designed for them. It's really quite a thrill and a pleasure to be able to do that. All my publications are very carefully graded, and I think I've developed a reputation for carefully graded books. But I also almost try to surprise you when you turn the page, so that yes, you will find bits of Beethoven and Mozart and Purcell, but you'll also find Latin American things, either genuine or ones I've written specially, or Irish folk tunes, so that I'm trying to push all the time. When you can read music and have some skill, you can play in different styles and enjoy lots of different types of music. For my family and friends, they all can see and know that there is an autobiographical theme running through all the books. When more than 31 years ago, I wrote the first tutor books, I actually had twin daughters aged about 7, 8 called Karen and Adele. So in the very first book, I wrote 2 tunes, one called Karen's Waltz, one called Adele's Waltz. And when you can play both tunes, there's a little upside down message. You turn the book over and it says, Karen and Adele are twins. These tunes are twins. And when you can play both tunes, you can play them both at the same time as a duet. Well, years later, when both the girls married, of course, and my son married, I have put a tune for each of the grandchildren in the books. So, for example, my son, who he's in book 3, Crombie's Boogie, well, he has a son, and so a grandson, so I wrote a little tune for him that has been very popular, Cameron's Spaceship. So Cameron has his own tune. When I revised book 1, which I felt needed doing a few years ago, I took the chance to include another little piece called Harrison's Rag, because I have a grandson, Harrison. Harrison is Karen's son. So within the one book, you have mother and son.